The Liebesleid is a classic in the violin repertoire written by the violin master Fritz Kreisler. It's basically a waltz, but to the heavy side in what's called a Landler in the German-Austrian tradition. It's not really virtuosic for the violin, more like a piece for the salon that everybody knows. So naturally, Rachmaninoff thought, hey, let's make that into an entertaining piano version, like a perfect encore. And my Patreon sponsor, D.E. Frez, wanted to hear my analysis on it, so here we go. Let's start with the title. It's not called Liebeslied, which would be love song, which I thought for years, only until I did the research for this video I realized it's Liebesleid, because normally I don't speak German, I just see the name, and it turns out it matters where you put the IE, the order of them, in German language too. That's weird. Anyway, Liebesleid means love's sorrow, so it's about lost love somehow. The original melody is pretty straightforward, so Rachmaninoff adds in a lot of extra things to make it exciting. So you see a lot of accidentals and exotic harmony, but they're mostly in passing, like ornamental harmony between the fundamental chord nodes. So often the melody comes to a long note and he adds in a musical fill in a very playful way. Now if you look at the form, it's a simple A-B-A-B with the first A part in minor and then flips to major for the B part. But Rachmaninoff, he adds some variation, and for the A part it's first kind of close to the original and then some variation the second time. But for the B part it's the opposite. The second time is closer to the original and the first time it's much further from it. And I think the only reason he could do that was that he expected the audience to know the tune already. And then just for good measure he adds in a cadenza before the B part and ends with a flashy coda. So it starts with this preamble, just a chromatic expansion going to A minor. It's just ascending minor chords to A minor, and also an inner voice that descends. And he puts those together. Like all the voices converge to this chord. It's still very exotic and sets the tone for the piece. And then we get stability with the melody. So here's the first problem with this ornament. So he wants you to play, and it's possible, but for the violin it's so much easier to play this type of ornament because it's only one movement, because the first note is already in a finger and then you do da-da-dam. It's one movement. Whereas for piano it's three movements. We need to press all the three notes. And also with the F here, with the thumb, with the 4 and 5, it's pretty sadistically written, and unfortunately I don't have the technique to be able to play that reliably. So I do a compromise and I drop this harmony note here so I can play the ornament with 2-3 to have control over that, and the harmony note of the F is in the left hand, so the harmony is there. And here's the first chromatic fill, super smooth. So it's the same statement in a sequence, one note lower, and if we look at the harmony, it's A minor to D minor, then G, 7 to C. It's a circle of fifth, very secure and nice feeling, almost nostalgic already at the beginning. And it continues for a third time after this F major. F major to B flat and finds the E, so it's the last part of the circle of fifth, and from the E we get this second inversion, A minor, back to A minor, with some kind of hemiola rhythm here. And now 2 bars more before we get the next phrase, which is a repeat of everything the same. It's a harmonic pirouette. It's the same preamble as the beginning, but now we're firmly in A minor, just goes from A minor around back to A minor again. So you can see the final chord is the E7, and the way they're basically just the opposite. Goes down A minor chords from A to F, and then F is close to E, and that's yeah, a lovely device, Rachmaninoff. Very typical Rachmaninoff. It feels like this kind of close chromatic minor chords somehow. By the way, one important thing about this piece, and like this music in general to start with, and this arrangement also, play with a lot of rubato is a key, I think. So especially here, you feel this big wave rising, and like some kind of ritardando somewhere there. Okay, so everything one more time, a little bit of variation, some extra more chromaticism, of course. So now the second time around, I do the opposite compromise with the ornament for 2 reasons. One is that this note, I don't have the same chord in the left hand, so it's more need to have this note in the right hand. And the second reason is it moves more in the left hand with this extra. So you don't have as much attention for the ornament anyway, so it matters less to not do it there. But in the beginning, it's more important to do the full trill like that. Anyway, that's just my solution here. He can't keep himself, Rachmaninoff, to just add this extra flair. Okay, now we get like the second part of the A section. It's something new. It goes to major, F major, and nice contrast from this kind of a little bit troubled character of all the minor, even if it's a bit nostalgic. Now, like, the emotion gets to burst out in this lovely. But it turns back to minor pretty quickly. And in the end, it's he shifts to a staccato variation. Everything staccato, it's fun. But there's another problem with the score here, I find. If you compare with both the violin source, it's different, and sometimes that's okay that he deviates because he wants to change it up. But also Rachmaninoff's own recording of this arrangement from a piano roll, every time we get this sequence, the second note is tied over. So that's in the original violin and the way he plays it, but for some reason it doesn't say in this score. It's written staccato like that, and it's extremely unsatisfying to play it that short. You lose all the momentum. So I think tie the second note over, you get to enjoy it. The first one, I press down the pedal for that too, but you can do it shorter. But to keep the second note tied over in the melody. By the way, this like answering phrase is in the piano accompaniment part of the orchestra. In the original, here we play everything, but it's a secondary voice here. Very charming. Same thing here. And ritardando. Let's check out the harmony here quickly. It goes from D major to B minor 7 flat 5, the B half diminished, to A minor with E in the bass, and then finds a way back to A minor. With this secondary dominant B7 points to E, E7, and the special color with the C, the minor mode, A minor mode coloring on the dominant back. And of course we get the chromatic pirouette. This time leads to F major, and here you really start to feel this, because this is a very difficult piece, but especially here you start to feel that maybe for Rachmaninoff it wasn't that difficult, because he had these giant hands, so he could write these chords and probably play them as one. But a lot of us can't do that, so we need to break all the chords, and it feels almost unnecessarily complicated compared to how it felt for him and pianists with big hands. But I don't know, we only know the type of hand we have, all of us, and we have to make the best use with it. It totally works to break the chords anyway. So now we get the same material from the F major, just even more grander the second time maybe. So here I actually add a note instead, because this voicing feels so bare and harsh, just a fourth so far away from this. So I add an octave down here to make it rounder, and it doesn't make it more difficult. Here too. And of course it's the same thing, but he adds one new element, which is a secondary voice underneath, turns it into a very nice duet. Okay, now we're ready for the second part of the piece. It's going to be a long video, I can imagine. So the B part is in major, and yeah, a nice upbeat. Why not? Roll those chords. And before I play this, let's play the B section when it counts the second time, because this is more of the core melody. It sounds like this. So it's such a pure waltz feeling. In major, just A major and E7, tonic and dominant, back and forth. But the first time he writes it, it's variation. He goes crazy with these extra runs, but the melody is actually there in the middle. It's just a lot of extra notes, and so something like this. So it's a super difficult place. As always, very careful with the sound balance to really get the melody. The melody has priority boarding and everyone else is economy class. But so I've practiced like 2 months on this, and it's only like the last week or something I've been able to start to craft the melody, because it's so much work to just get the notes in order. You have to learn to play all the notes first, and then when they start to be automatic, you can focus your attention to the sound balance. At least that's my experience of piano playing after all these years, and sometimes that just takes a lot of time and energy. But the resulting effect is amazing with all these notes flying around. It's almost a tickling sensation. So the form is easy. It's 4 times 4 bars, and then everything repeated 2 times. The second part of this, it's a kind of a minor episode. super crunchy chromatic run here. And a repeat. With some extra runs, because why not? So delicate, even more pianissimo probably. Okay, that's the end of the second section. And now that we've reached the middle of the piece, we go back to the first section in minor again with a nice variation. It's pretty easy to follow because the melody is all there, but he ramps up the chromatic notes in between. So here I drop some notes in the left hand again for the same reason that it's very uncomfortable and rough for my hands to play. Like it's sadistic for this size of hands because it's so strenuous. So I don't think you notice it as much. Like you notice the ornament more that I don't play it. Because you still have this motion, the top line of that. And it just goes so quickly by. Lovely chromatic fills again. And now we're used to this chromatic pirouette for 2 bars. Now it's expanded to a micro cadenza in the middle of this. And we get everything again, but now new variation. Up in the high register, leggero and movement on every 8th notes, but it's still the same fundamental material. And now a lovely rundown with more of a sequence, of a pattern repeating sequence. I mean, it's very irregular in the way it's changing chord, but it's the same movement for all the time. And builds up the energy to the second part, which is in F major, and even more grand here. And so normally it's this melody. Here he just reaches the A, the starting note, and then he just drops the melody because he finds this chromatic inner voice and puts it on top, and it's just more fun to just play that on syncopation. And really nice big piano waves. This is actually good piano writing for once because it flows easily. If you do this in the end, because to prepare the next chord, because I struggle with get this, always didn't get it right, but then I realized I can just take this G in the right hand, same chromatic descent, and now the final closing starts off the same. Here Rachmaninoff kind of takes a new path instead, and the harmony just digs in. Until it finds this chord, which is an E7 dominant feeling with this diminished quality. F is the flat 9. And we get the cadenza. So starts with a run up on this diminished chord. So technically an octatonic scale when you have 8 notes, but it's mostly a diminished chord with one note in between each chord note. So it's easy, very easy to like memorize and play because it's diminished chord and one note between, and then it starts over a few times. So that's like the easy part of the cadenza. Now comes the hard part, and so it sounds like this. Something like that. It's very similar to Tchaikovsky's Sugar Plum Fairy dance from the Nutcracker. You have a cadenza in the celeste part that's like this. And finally, I recently did a video on that on the channel, but this is very nice written for the piano, very easy. And Rachmaninoff version here is 10 times harder, because the Tchaikovsky, it changes very regularly. It's just one position and then a new chord and then just find the next. But Rachmaninoff, he changes chromatically on every quarter beat, and it's no pattern, like because it's these chromatic passing notes all the way down, but it's not regular. It changes in a different way, like for every quarter note. So it takes a long time to learn this for me. But again, the effect is amazing. This just glittering, sparkling piano sound. Soft piano and veloce, quick. But the fundamental harmony is just this E. We established this E diminished dominant harmony, and then it's just an extension of that. And finally, because we have the E in the bass all the time, and finally when we come down here, the dominant with an extra C, the minor flavor, and it turns to major. And this is an amazing place. So it's basically the climax of the piece, I think, when you get to this section, the B section again in major. And so now he just states it as the core melody without all the extra chromatic notes. And yeah, amazing feeling, and grazioso with elegance and a lot of rubato. And I think it's a good place to take a lot of time on the first note and kind of tease the audience. Something like this. Like before you actually give it to them, you hold it before their eyes. And this minor flavor is so great. You can start to dig in these notes a lot, I think. F minor with a G sharp is a 9. Minor 9, add 9. And now the second time, lovely outburst. Like you finally get, the emotion gets to burst out again. At least that's how I like to play it. Lovely piano sound, some kind of B minor 7 to start with as the 2 scale degree, second scale degree in A major. But then some extra, we get an extra E in the bass and extra notes on top. So it's hard to say exactly what it is, just sprinkling Rachmaninoff. Here, A major 7. some time to cool down again. A major, just some final cadences with diminished chord. And here we still have almost one page left. It's the final coda, but we've already reached A major the tonic, and this is just some extended chromatic pirouettes, and he stretches them even further for the coda in some nice fireworks. So A major, some kind of F7, very exotic type of cadence, immediate away, F to A, non-diatonic. Second time it's basically the same idea, but now it's F sharp and D sharp. So instead of, we get D sharp half diminished, closer to home, just lovely harmonic shades here. Now some more crunchy chromaticism with parallel 7th chord. So just the left hand. Again, it always goes to the E7, back to A. And before that, C7, C sharp 7, D minor 7, D sharp half diminished, E13. And the right hand, he finds this pattern of going kind of in thirds, but changing chromatically. Just amazing pirouette. And one more time, these are the big chords again. That's tough to play. Hey, that's all right. Okay, A major, up here we go down. This run is also uneven in a way that's annoying. It takes more time to get, like when it changes, it's not the most natural. There is a pattern, but it's uneven. Anyway, we go down and then final. Great ending for a virtuoso piece like this one. Thanks for watching Sonata Secrets, and the Patreon shoutout goes to DE Frez, my Patreon sponsor on the festival level. Thanks for supporting me on Patreon, everyone who does that, and I'll see you in another video.